Can a woman have a penis?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's one answer to that question. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another short form video. We're going to react to a clip that's going viral from a Piers Morgan Uncensored interview with the head of the Green Party over in the UK. And we've seen a couple other high profile politicians, including members of the Liberal Democrats over in the UK, refuse to answer and kind of combust into pieces when Piers asked them what's apparently now in 2025 a gotcha question. Can a woman have a penis? This guy didn't do that. He had a different and interesting response. Let's take a look and I'll give you my thoughts on it all as we go along.
Can a woman have a penis?
Yes. It's going to take them a long time on the National Health Service to get rid of it, but that's another separate problem.
All right. I think we'll leave it on a woman can have a penis.
You know, I didn't really think my journalism career would turn out this way. I'd be reacting to major politicians saying a woman can have a penis. So they can't in, I would say, almost all cases. Let's maybe have a little nuance here because there are some rare genetic conditions and intersex conditions where somebody could be a female, right, and produce egg, yet have maybe both genitalia or also have a penis, but that's like the rarest of exceptions, and it's not really what we're talking about here. The truth is that a trans woman who could have a penis, the reason they could have that is because they're actually a male, which means they're a man. A trans woman is a category of man. And as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. They should live however will make them happiest as adults and get whatever treatments or procedures they'd like to do with their own body. But definitions and facts and reality do matter. And when you take this kind of stance, it's just a sanity test. People are like, I don't think I can trust this person if they're willing to just say stuff that's so obviously like detached from reality. And that's what some of these progressive politicians need to understand, that while, yeah, sure, other issues are more important, this is an issue where people feel disconnected from them and lose faith in their credibility and judgment, which, I don't know. We'll keep watching this. You let me know how you feel about this guy's credibility and judgment in the comments.
I
think you're lacking nuance and complexity about a pretty complicated
Not really. You couldn't have been clearer.
I'm clear because actually when you want to look at the science...
You were crystal clear. Ask a simple question.
But you're laughing at it, which I think demeans trans people.
Absolutely ridiculous.
What have you got against trans people? Why are you punching down? Why are you not saying
nothing against
the real
trans
problem
people?
in this
I've already
country?
told you.
Oh my gosh. I don't think saying a woman doesn't have a penis, I don't think that's attacking trans people. I think actual trans people with gender dysphoria know what sex they are and don't lie about it. Like they have a rare medical condition that they want to treat by living as if they are the other sex, but they know they're not. There's nothing insulting about those people about acknowledging reality. And in fact, acknowledging that reality is pretty important to get people to understand what this condition is and to get people to have grace and empathy for those people and accommodate them within reason. But once you start just saying up is down and nothing means anything, people lose all their patience. So I don't agree that simply saying this is insulting trans people or that this guy's approach is going to work out well for trans people. How's that going in the United Kingdom? No.
That I think trans people...
You sound like you have a huge problem with trans people.
No. It sounds to me like you don't understand what a woman is, which I think is a huge problem for someone leading a party in this country.
A woman is a gender.
Sorry?
You said what's a woman?
No,
a woman is a gender.
Biological
and gender
female.
is complicated.
No.
Gender is a spectrum.
It's not complicated. A woman is a biological
female. Is gender a spectrum? Is it that binary?
Do you think people are born male and female?
Not necessarily.
Oh, for God.
Oh my goodness. So this is the problem. This guy's out of touch with reality. There are two genders, two sexes, and infinite personalities. And then there are very rare intersex conditions, of course, but even most of them can actually be categorized as male or female based on the structure of their reproductive system. So, yeah, I mean, when you say this, I would have loved him to home in on that a little more. Like, oh, it's a gender. What is a gender? Oh, it means they feel like a woman. What does it mean? Feel like a woman? Like, this stuff really breaks down when you put it under a microscope at all deeper than just, oh, a woman is a gender and your truth is your truth. I don't know. I find it simplistically, maddeningly simplistic and just not accurate. And then they say, oh, well, we have nuance. Okay, well, if your nuance is like just made up BS, then that's not valuable nuance. It's actually probably better to have a narrow black and white worldview that's mostly true than to have a nuanced view that's mostly not true.
necessarily.
Oh, for God's sake.
I think it's more complicated than
It's
that.
not more complicated, Zach.
Well, it's not more complicated than that if you're a TV show host who wants to make it binary and ridiculous.
Zach, you're going to have
but
to
actually,
work
if you
this
want to
stuff
have a
out, mate,
nuanced
'cause let me say,
conversation that actually reflects science
when I asked you if you
and
wanted to be
information.
when I asked you if you want to be prime minister,
Bro, he's saying that his side of this discussion is the one reflecting science. Come on now. Is the science in the room with us, sir?
prime minister, there is not a cat in hell's chance of you ever becoming prime minister if you don't know what a woman is.
Well, you'll see us going up in the polls. We're the most favourable party in London right now, so let's see about
Why don't you
that.
start going out tomorrow with your big campaign that women can have penises?
I'm going to be going out tomorrow with my big campaign
on.
about inequality in this country
Sure.
between the multimillionaires and billionaires and
When
working class
people see
communities
you
who are really
say to
suffering.
me, women have a penis,
Well, because you're
see how
trying
it
to
plays out.
distract from inequality, and actually, I think
really.
No, he doesn't get it. It's not that Piers is trying to distract from it. Is that this is a real issue. It's a sanity test for people, and they're not going to listen to your pitch about the economy, which, by the way, I'm sure is deranged and terrible. This is like a green radical left party. But anyway, people aren't really going to take you seriously just as a person when you're running around spouting off absolute nonsense and denying basic biological facts of reality we all know and observe. They're not really going to be interested in your detailed analysis of the Gini coefficient. And maybe that's like actually not logical. Maybe people should be able to separate those things, but it is natural. It is kind of how human nature works. We make micro judgments to help us process huge amounts of information. And these micro judgments are not going in your favor right now, sir. That's my take, at least.
Most people
just asking you
don't
questions.
care about the conversation.
If you want to be prime
they just
minister,
care about the fact they want to put food on the table.
you are a fast emerging.
Trans people
you
as
are
well.
you are a fast emerging politician in this country. I'm perfectly entitled to ask you what you believe.
You're absolutely entitled.
And you've
people
been
are entitled to
crystal clear
see the
what you believe.
ludicrousness of these questions.
I don't think they're ludicrous questions. I actually think they reveal something significant. And then also, he's trying to say, like, oh, this is all just culture war distraction. None of this matters. We need to talk about the real issues. It actually does matter to the women who've been forced to have male sex offenders housed in their prisons. Matters a lot to them, actually. It actually does matter to the parents of children who have been medically transitioned in irreversible and harmful ways. Like, it matters to the female athletes who were forced to undress with biological males who walked around with everything out. Like, I am not, and I have never said this is the most important issue in the world. Obviously, you know, there's people dying, there's famine, there's a threat of global nuclear war, all this stuff. But I also don't like when people act like it is totally trivial and insignificant. It's not. It's not to the people that are involved. And that's not a good look for a politician to be dismissing people's concerns and feelings about an issue like this.
Rather than tackling the inequality and the fact we're not funding our national health service, the fact we've got schools crumbling, the fact that people are struggling to put food on the table. That's what people are worried about, not trans people.
Okay. Actually, they're worried about women's rights.
I'm worried about women's rights too, but as I said, I offered several times to talk about the police force. I offered several times to talk about the inequality pay gap.
You want to talk about...
Hold on. I'm concerned about women's rights too. That's why I want to talk about the police force. Did I miss something? I must have missed something there.
I want to talk about other things. I get that.
I want to talk about women's rights. Let's have a conversation about women's rights. But let's not talk about trans women specifically.
You think women have...
Well, that's the problem, is he's not acknowledging that there is a fundamental tension here between the idea that gender is infinite and made up and whatever you'll feel like in the moment, and the idea that women have certain sex-based rights. Those two things are in tension. So you can't say talk about one but don't talk about the other. Then you're not actually addressing any of the real issues.
Women have penises.
You said to me, can a woman have a penis?
Yeah.
And I said, yes. So if they're transitioning, for instance, then of course a woman can have a penis.
It's complete bullshit.
When were you a doctor or an expert in women?
Oh my God. Not the doctor expert card. Sir, you do not need to be a doctor or an expert to know that women do not typically have penises. What is going on? Why are we in this timeline? What did I do to deserve this?
In women's rights
The
or
UK Supreme
science.
Court has made it crystal clear.
But that's not the Supreme Court's job. The Supreme Court's job is to look at legislation
down the law
and
of
then
the
make a
land.
legal ruling.
Okay. So you know...
Well, okay, now he clearly doesn't understand how the Supreme Court works. The Supreme Court did have to decide what a woman was because they were interpreting laws about women's rights protections that rely on a definition of a woman. So then they do have to look at the law and determine, well, what is a woman under this law? So the Supreme Court was doing their job by doing that in the United Kingdom. That is, he's referring to a big court decision that ruled that trans women are protected under basis of gender identity, but they're not protected as women because a woman refers to biological women in the definition of the laws in the UK. That's what he's referring to, and he clearly doesn't get why that was important or necessary, which again isn't a great look for somebody who apparently wants to be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, although that isn't going to happen. That's my hot take, my hot prediction.
So you know more than the Supreme Court?
Well, yes, actually, in this case, yes, I do.
All right, guys. Well, things are going great. Everything is going amazing. I don't know. I don't think that's the funny thing is I always look at the United Kingdom as like, that's going to be us in just a few years on many issues. And I think that will be us. I think that probably already is us. We just don't have as many newscasters or media presenters like Piers who will say absurd things and don't care how absurd they sound. Like, for example, sitting across an actual politician and asking, can a woman have a penis? Most journalists would not do that because they would feel like it's a joke or they're like somehow embarrassing themselves. But they're not, because the real embarrassment is that that question needs to be asked. And it kind of does at this point. I mean, here in the US, we have the Democrats, literally almost all elected Democrats support legislation federally, the Equality Act, that would redefine biological sex to mean whatever you feel like. That then suggests that a woman can have a penis. So yeah, it's a fair question. And most people would like to know, I think, if the people they're entrusting to run the government are out of touch with reality. That's a fair question. And I think more media hosts should actually do this, even if it makes them look a little bit silly sometimes. They should ask these kinds of point blank, ridiculous questions, because then the fact that either these people won't answer, or in this case, this guy's case, I give him credit. He gave a firm answer. It's just the Lulu answer, but at least he didn't try to dodge it like some of these other politicians have. Well, then people should know that, and they should form their judgment accordingly. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't yet. Hit the like button, yada, yada, yada. And make sure to check out my podcast, Bread versus Everyone, on all podcast platforms and linked in the description if you're interested in my longer form takes on social media and internet insanity. And with that, guys, we'll be back with more content real soon.